Hello, and welcome to Best English Podcast. My name is Sophia, and I'm so happy you've decided to join me today. Have you ever been in a situation where you're watching a movie in English? You're following the story, and suddenly, two characters start talking very quickly, and the words just turn into a blur of sound? It feels like you've hit a wall. Or maybe you've had a conversation with a native English speaker. You understand the first sentence, you nod, you smile, but then they get excited about the topic and their speech speeds up, and suddenly you are lost, just catching a word here and there, and you find yourself just nodding and hoping they don't ask you a question. It's a frustrating feeling, isn't it? It can make you feel like all your hard work studying grammar and vocabulary isn't paying off. You might even think to yourself, why do they speak so fast? They should slow down. Well, I have some good news for you. First, you are not alone. This is one of the most common challenges for English learners at every level. And second, the problem isn't really about speed. It's about music and connection. Native speakers aren't trying to be difficult. They are simply speaking naturally. And today, we are going to learn the secrets behind that natural speech. We are going to turn that fast, confusing blur of sound into clear, understandable English. This isn't just a list of tips. This is a journey to retrain your ears. We'll explore why English sounds the way it does, we'll dive into real-life stories and examples, and we'll practice together so you can build the confidence to understand English at its natural pace. So, get comfortable, relax, and let's begin to crack the code of fast English together. The first and most important step on our journey is to change the way we think about this problem. Let's stop thinking, they speak too fast, and start thinking, I am learning the rhythm and flow of natural English. It's a small change in words, but it makes a huge difference in your mind. It takes away the feeling of blame and replaces it with a sense of curiosity and purpose. You are not a passive victim of fast speakers. You are an active learner discovering the secrets of a new language. Imagine English is a song. Like any song, it has a rhythm, a beat. Some notes are long and strong, while others are short and weak. In English, we call this stress and intonation. Native speakers don't give equal importance to every single word in a sentence. Instead, they stress the most important words, the words that carry the meaning. These are what we call content words. Think of them as the key information, the stars of the sentence. Content words are typically nouns, like dog, house, Sophia, main verbs, like run, eat, study, adjectives, like beautiful, big, happy, and adverbs, like quickly, always, very. The other words, the little words that connect everything, are called function words. These are words like a, the, to, in, of, is, are, can, you. They are the grammar glue of the sentence. They are necessary, but they don't carry the main message. Because they are less important for the meaning, they are often unstressed. They become quiet, short, and sometimes they almost disappear. Let me tell you about a student of mine, a wonderful woman named Maria from Spain. Maria was very good with grammar. She could write beautiful, perfect sentences. But when she listened to native speakers, she became incredibly frustrated. She told me, Sophia, I am listening for every word, but I can't hear them all. I hear and then a mumble, and then go, and another mumble, and then store. I miss the words in between. I explained to Maria that she was listening for words that were not meant to be heard clearly. She was trying to hear every note in the song played at the same volume, But that's not how the music works. So we looked at a simple sentence. I need to go to the store. I asked her which words were the most important for the meaning. She quickly identified need, go, and store. These are the content words. The other words, I, to, the, are function words. In natural speech, a native speaker doesn't say, I need to go to the store. That sounds like a robot. Instead, they say something that sounds more like, I need to go to the store. The rhythm is something like da 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 da. The stressed words, need, go, store, are clear and strong. The function words, I, to the, are weak, quick, and reduced. Maria was searching for the full, clear sound of to, but in this sentence, it often becomes a tiny, soft sound like tuh. She was trying to hear 4 separate, clear notes when they were actually played as a quick, connected musical phrase. This was a huge aha moment for her. She realized she had to stop hunting for every individual word and start listening for the beat, for the stressed content words that carry the meaning. Once she knew what to listen for, the main message, the smaller, unstressed words didn't seem so important or confusing anymore. This is the foundation of understanding fast speech. It's about listening for the rhythm. Your first practice is to start noticing this everywhere. When you watch a movie or listen to a podcast, don't worry about understanding every single word. Instead, try to just hear the beat. Which words are loud and clear? Which ones are soft and quick? Just tap your finger to the rhythm of the sentences you hear. You'll start to feel the music of the language, and that is the first step to understanding it. Once we understand that English has a rhythm, with stressed and unstressed words, we can begin to explore the biggest secret to understanding fast English, connected speech. This is what truly makes English sound so fast and blurry to learners. Native speakers don't speak word by word by word. Imagine a train. Each word is not a separate carriage with a space in between. Instead, the words are all linked together into one long, smooth train. Connected speech is simply the way English words link together and change their sounds when we speak at a natural pace. There are a few different ways this happens, and we're going to explore each one with stories and examples, turning you into an expert detective of spoken English. The first type of connection is the most common, and we call it linking. This is when the last sound of one word connects or links to the first sound of the next word. The most common form of this is when a word ends in a consonant sound and the next word begins with a vowel sound. Let's think about my student, Marco, from Italy. He was telling me a story about his first time in a coffee shop in London. He wanted to order an apple juice. He knew the words an and apple, was, but the person at the counter asked someone else, "Would you like an apple?" Marco was confused. He heard one word, an apple. He was looking for the little pause, the tiny space between an and apple, but there was no space. The N sound at the end of an attached itself to the A sound at the beginning of apple. It became one smooth sound. This happens all the time. Think about the phrase, turn it off. We don't say turn it off. We say turn it off. The N in turn links to the I in it, and the T in it links to the O in off. It becomes a single, smooth unit of sound. Let's try another one. Come on in. A native speaker says common in. The sound links to the O, and the N sound links to the I. It's seamless. I remember another story from a student named Sujin from Korea. Her American boss sent her an email that said, I need to pick up a few things from the store. Later, her boss was leaving the office and said to a colleague, I'm just gonna run out and pick up a few things. Sujin heard pick up as one word. She even tried to look it up in the dictionary later, but of course, she couldn't find it. The consonant K sound in pick and the consonant P sound in up are both part of the phrase, but the final sound of up is a P, which links to the vowel A. So, pick up A becomes pick up a. Let's do a little practice together. I will say a phrase slowly with spaces, and then I'll say it naturally with linking. I want you to listen to the difference and then try to say it the natural way. Ready? First phrase, read a book. Slowly, read a book. Or naturally, read a book. See how the D links to the A? Read a book. Breaker, your turn. Read a book. Good. Let's try another. Tell us a story. Slowly. Tell us a story. Naturally, tell us a story. The L's links to the U and these links to the A. Tell us a story. You try. Tell us a story. One more. I am on my way. This one has a few links. I am becomes iam, talai. On my stays separate, so we get iam on my way, in no. Or if we use a contraction, which we'll talk about later, I'm on my way becomes I'm on my way. Let's practice that one. I'm on my way. This linking of consonant to vowel sounds is everywhere. Once you start listening for it, you'll hear it constantly. It's one of the first and most important keys to unlocking the flow of spoken English. So your next mission is to become a link spotter. When you listen to English, try to find examples of this. Hear an apple as an apple. Hear get on it as get on it. The more you notice it, the less confusing it will become. Your brain will start to accept these linked sounds as normal, and you'll begin to understand them automatically. Now that we've talked about how words link together, let's explore our second secret of connected speech. This one is perhaps the most important sound in the entire English language. It's a sound that learners often don't know about, but native speakers use it in almost every sentence. It's called the schwa. The symbol for it looks like an upside-down E, like this, /U. The schwa is often called the lazy sound because it takes very little effort to make. Just relax your mouth, relax your tongue, and let out a short, weak sound. That's it. It's the sound in the first syllable of the word about. About. It's the sound at the end of the word sofa. Sofa. So why is this little sound so important? Because, as we learned earlier, English has a rhythm of stressed and unstressed syllables. The schwa sound is what happens to the vowel in most unstressed syllables. The clear vowel sound disappears and is replaced by this weak, lazy This is a major reason why English sounds so fast. The unstressed words get reduced and their vowels turn into schwa. Let's go back to our sentence from before. I need to go to the store. The two words are function words. They are unstressed. We don't say them with a clear oo sound. Instead, the vowel reduces to schwa. To becomes t. So we get I need to go to the store. Hearing t instead of to can be very confusing if you're not expecting it. I remember working with a student, Kenji from Japan. He was watching a cooking show. The chef said, "Now take a cup of flour." Dao. Kenji was listening intently. He heard, "Now take a cup, some flour." He missed the word of. He replayed it again and again. He knew the word of should be there, but he couldn't hear it. Finally, he asked me about it. I explained that in natural speech, The word of is almost never pronounced with a clear O sound. It's unstressed, so it reduces. The O sound becomes a schwa, and the F sounds more like a V, so of becomes uva. A cup of tea becomes a cup of tea. A cup of flour becomes a cup of flour. For Kenji, this was a revelation. He had been listening for of when he should have been listening for UV. This happens to so many function words. The word for often becomes fur. For example, in this is for you, we usually say this is for you. The word can, when it's not stressed, becomes can. If I ask, can you help me? The can is stressed and clear. But if I say, I can help you, the can is unstressed and sounds like I can help you. It's a tiny, quick sound. The word are often becomes What are you doing? Sounds like, what are you doing? Let's practice hearing and saying a few of these. I'll say the sentence the slow, careful way, and then the natural, reduced way with schwa. Listen for the change. Sentence 1, I want a piece of cake. The slow way, I want a piece of cake. The natural way, I want a piece of cake. The of becomes UV. Sentence 2, I'm looking for my keys. The slow way, I'm looking for my keys. The natural way, I'm looking for my keys. The for becomes fur. Notice I also dropped the G on looking, which is another common feature of informal speech. Sentence 3, what are you going to do? Orers. The slow way, what are you going to do? The natural way, what are you gonna do? Here, R becomes and to becomes ta inside the word gonna, which we will discuss very soon. Your brain is trained to listen for the full dictionary pronunciation of these words, but in reality, you will rarely hear them that way. You need to retrain your brain to accept ta, fur, uvi, and kan as the normal sounds for to, for, of, and can in fast speech. Your next practice is to become a schwa hunter. Listen specifically for these little words. Don't try to hear for, listen for fur. Don't try to hear of, listen for UV. When you start recognizing the schwa sound, you will suddenly find that you can understand so much more. It's like finding a key to a secret code. The blurry parts of sentences will start to become clearer because you'll recognize those weak, lazy sounds for what they are, simple function words. We have explored how words link together and how vowels reduce to the lazy sound of the schwa. Now, let's talk about something you are probably already familiar with, but perhaps not in its most extreme form. Contractions. You already know the basic formal contractions. These are the ones you learn in textbooks. I am becomes I'm. He is becomes he's. They are becomes they're. Do not becomes don't. Will not becomes won't. These are standard, and you probably use them already. They are the first step in making speech sound more natural and fluid. Saying, I'm going to the park, is much more common and sounds more natural than saying, I am going to the park. But the real challenge for learners comes from a different category: informal contractions or reductions. These are the words that you hear all the time in movies, songs, and casual conversations, but you might not see them written down very often. They are a huge part of what makes spoken English sound so fast. Learning to recognize them is not just helpful, it's essential. Let me tell you a story about a student named Fatima. She worked in an international company, and her manager was American. One afternoon, her manager was leaving a meeting and said to her, Fatima, I'm gonna have to finish this report tonight. Fatima froze. She heard gonna and hafta, and had no idea what they meant. She was too embarrassed to ask. She thought they might be some kind of advanced business vocabulary she hadn't learned. Later, she came to me, very worried, and asked me what these strange words meant. We broke it down. The manager said, "I'm going to have to finish this report." In natural, fast speech, going to gets crushed together to become gonna. The T sound is dropped, and the O in to becomes a schwa sound. Going to, gonna. It's incredibly common. You will almost always hear gonna instead of going to in casual speech. The second word she heard was hafta. This comes from have to. When we say it quickly, the V sound in have changes to an F sound and to reduces to t. So have to becomes hafta. It means the same thing, a necessity or obligation. So her manager's sentence, "I'm gonna have to finish this report," simply meant, "I am going to have to finish this report." For Fatima, understanding this was like solving a great mystery. She started hearing these words everywhere once she knew what they were. Let's look at a few more of these common informal contractions. One of the most frequent is wanna, which comes from want to. So, for example, do you want to get a coffee? In a casual conversation, this almost always becomes, do you want to get a coffee? The phrase want a also sounds like wanna. For instance, I want a new car sounds like I want a new car. The context helps you understand if the speaker means want to or want a. Another one is gotta. This is a reduction of have got to. It expresses a strong necessity similar to must or have to. For example, I have got to go now becomes I gotta go now. You'll often hear it without the have. Someone might just say, gotta go, when they are leaving in a hurry. Then there's kinda from kind of and sorta from sort of. We use these to make a statement less direct or to mean a little bit. For instance, instead of saying, it is cold outside, someone might say, it's kinda cold outside. Or, are you tired? Yeah, I'm sorta tired. And what about questions? You'll hear these reductions there too. What are you doing can become whatcha doin'. The what are you part gets squeezed into whatcha. What do you think can become what do you think. The what do you becomes what'ya. Let's do a little practice to help your ears get used to these sounds. I'll say the full phrase and then the informal contraction. I want you to repeat the informal one. Ready? Going to becomes gonna. Your turn, gonna. Want to becomes wanna. Your turn, wanna. Have to becomes hafta. Your turn, hafta. Got to becomes gotta. Your turn, gotta. Kind of becomes kinda. Your turn, kinda. What are you becomes whatcha. Your turn, whatcha. Now, let's put them in sentences. I'll say the full sentence, then the natural fast version. I am going to call my friend. Becomes, I'm gonna call my friend. Do you want to watch a movie? Becomes, do you want to watch a movie? We have to leave early. Becomes, we have to leave early. I have got to finish my homework. Becomes, I gotta finish my homework. It's kind of funny, isn't it? Becomes, it's kind of funny, isn't it? What are you thinking about? Becomes, what you thinking about? Recognizing these informal contractions is a superpower for English listening. At first, you have to consciously listen for them, but with practice, your brain will start to process gonna as going to automatically, without even thinking about it. So, your next mission is to be a gonna wanna gotta detective. Watch a short clip from a modern TV show or a YouTube video with English speakers having a casual conversation. Listen just for these words. Count how many times you hear them. You will probably be very surprised. This exercise will tune your ears to the reality of spoken English. So far, we've covered linking words together, reducing vowels to schwa, and using informal contractions like gonna and wanna. Now we are going to dive into another phenomenon of connected speech that can make words seem to vanish into thin air. This is called elision, which is just a fancy word for dropping or deleting sounds. When we speak quickly, we are efficient. We don't want to use more energy than necessary. So, sometimes a sound gets dropped from a word to make it easier and faster to say. This happens most often with the T and D sounds. Let me tell you about my friend, David. He was preparing for a job interview with an American company. He wanted to be ready for any question. He practiced answering the question, "What are your strengths?" He practiced saying, "I pay great attention to the facts and details." He pronounced the T in facts very clearly. But then he watched a video of a business expert giving interview advice. The expert said, "You need to present the facts clearly." David listened again. The T sound in facts was gone. It sounded like facts. Were. He was confused. Was this a mistake? It wasn't a mistake at all. It was a perfect example of elision. When a T or D sound is stuck between two other consonant sounds, it often gets deleted. In the word facts, the T is between the C sound, which is like a K, and the sound. So it's easier to say facts than facts. This happens in many common words and phrases. Think about the phrase next door. The T in next is between the X, which has a KS sound, and the D of door. So, we almost always say next door. The person who lives next door is very friendly. Or consider postman. We say postman. The T disappears. In the United States, this happens a lot with words like internet, which often becomes internet, or interview, which can sound like interview. The T sound just vanishes. The D sound does the same thing. Look at the word and. In a phrase like rock and roll, we don't say rock and roll. The D disappears and it becomes rock and roll. What about bread and butter? It becomes bread and butter. This is extremely common. Another place where elision happens is at the end of words, especially with the T in not. For example, in the phrase, "I don't know." In very fast, casual speech, this often becomes, "I dunno." The T from don't is completely gone. Or in, "I can't believe it." The T in can't might be so soft that it's almost silent, especially if the next word starts with a consonant. I can believe it. This can sometimes be confusing because can and can't can sound very similar. The difference is often in the stress and the vowel sound. I can go has a reduced, quick keen. I can't go has a clearer, longer A sound and more stress on the word, even if the final T is very soft. Let's practice hearing this. I will say some phrases, first with the full sound and then with the elision. Listen for the missing sound. First phrase, the facts of the case. Slowly, the facts of the case. Naturally, the facts of the case. The T is gone. Second phrase, I must go. Slowly, I must go. Naturally, I must go. The T is betweens and G. so it disappears. Third phrase, she is a friend of mine. Slowly, she is a friend of mine. Naturally, she's a friend of mine. The D gets dropped. Fourth phrase, I want to, but I don't have time. Here the T in don't can be dropped. I wanna, but I don't have time. This concept of elision can be tricky because you are expecting to hear a sound that simply isn't there. It's like a magician making something disappear. Your brain is looking for the T in facts, but it's gone. The key is to become aware that this happens. When you hear a word that sounds incomplete, it might be because of elision. Don't doubt yourself. You're probably hearing it correctly. Your practice mission now is to become a sound detective, but this time you're looking for missing sounds. Listen to a short piece of audio, maybe a minute from a news report or a movie scene. Pay close attention to words with T and D sounds, especially when they are between other consonants. Can you hear the elision? For example, when you hear the phrase last chance, do you hear the T in last? Often, you will hear last chance. The more you train your ear to accept these missing sounds, the more natural and clear fast speech will become. You'll stop waiting for sounds that were never spoken. We are building a powerful toolkit for understanding spoken English. We've looked at linking, reductions, contractions, and elision. Now we're going to explore the last and perhaps most interesting piece of the connected speech puzzle. It's called assimilation. This sounds very technical, but the idea is simple. Assimilation is when a sound changes to become more like its neighbor. It's like a chameleon. A sound changes its color to match the sound that comes right after it. This happens to make the transition between sounds smoother and more efficient. Let's think about a story. My student, a young man named Chen from China, was watching an American sitcom. In one scene, a character was very excited and asked his friend, "Did you see that? Uh-uhs." But Chen didn't hear "did you." He heard something that sounded like "didja." He replayed it several times. "Didja, didja, didja see that?" He was sure the actor was saying a new word, didja. He wasn't hearing a new word. He was hearing a perfect example of assimilation. When the D sound at the end of did is followed by the Y sound at the beginning of you, the two sounds blend together. They combine to create a completely new sound, the J sound, like in the word jam. So, did you becomes didja. This is incredibly common. It happens with other words ending in D followed by U. For instance, would you becomes woulja. Could you becomes coulja. Woulja like a drink? Coulja help me? It's not just the D sound. The same thing happens with the T sound at the end of a word when it's followed by U. The T and the Y sounds blend together to create a ch sound, like in the word cheese. So, don't you becomes doncha. Doncha think it's a good idea. Can't you becomes cancha. Cancha come to the party. I'll meet you there becomes I'll meet you there. That meet you combination sounds like one word, meet you. Let me tell you about another student, Isabel from France. She was on a bus in London and heard the person behind her say, "I'll miss you." But it didn't sound like miss you. It sounded like miss you. She was very confused. This is another type of assimilation. When the sound at the end of miss is followed by the Y sound of you, they often combine to create ash sound, like in the word shoe. So, Miss you sounds like miss shoe. The same thing happens with bless you, which sounds like bless shoe. These sound changes can be surprising at first. You are listening for two distinct sounds, but you hear one new combined sound instead. Your brain is searching for did and you, but the sound it receives is didja. This mismatch is what causes confusion. The solution is to learn to expect these changes. Let's practice a few of these together. Your ears need to learn that didja means did you. It's just a different pronunciation. Repeat after me. Did you becomes didja. Your turn, didja. Would you becomes woulda. Your turn, woulda. Don't you becomes don'tcha. Your turn, don'tcha. Meet you becomes meet you. Your turn, meet you. Miss you becomes miss shoe. Your turn, miss shoe. Now in full sentences. Listen to how smooth they sound. Did you have a good time? Yeah becomes did ya have a good time? Ah. Would you like some tea? Becomes would ya like some tea? Don't you know the answer? Becomes don'tcha know the answer? It was nice to meet you. Becomes it was nice to meet you. I'm going to miss you. Becomes I'm gonna miss shoe. Understanding assimilation is like being let in on a secret of the language. These are not slang words. They are natural, predictable sound changes that happen in the speech of almost every native speaker in a casual context. Your final practice mission for connected speech is to become an assimilation spotter. Listen for these didjas, don'tchas, and meetchas. When you hear one, pause and think about the two words that combined to make it. Oh, gotcha is got you. By doing this, you will train your brain to decode these sounds instantly. We have now covered the 5 main elements of connected speech: linking, reductions, contractions, elision, and assimilation. These are the technical reasons why English sounds fast. But knowing the reasons is only half the battle. Now we need to talk about the practical strategies you can use every day to train your ears and build your listening skills. It's time to move from theory to practice. The first and most powerful strategy is to transform the way you listen. Most of the time, we hear things passively. The sound is in the background, but we're not fully engaged with it. To improve your listening skills, you need to practice active listening. This means listening with a specific purpose, with intense focus. Imagine 2 people watching a movie. The first person is a passive hearer. They are sitting on the sofa, maybe checking their phone sometimes. The sound of the movie is just washing over them. They understand the main story, but they miss a lot of the details. The second person is an active listener. They have a mission. They have decided, for the next 5 minutes, I'm going to listen for every example of the word gonna. They ignore everything else and focus only on that one goal. This focused, active listening is like taking your ears to the gym. It's a workout that builds strength. One of the best active listening exercises is transcription. This is the simple act of listening to a short piece of audio and writing down exactly what you hear. It sounds easy, but it is one of the most effective techniques you can use. I had a student named Paolo who felt stuck. He said, "Sophia, I listen to podcasts every day on my way to work, but I'm not improving." Wow. I asked him how he was listening. He was listening passively while thinking about his day. I suggested he try transcription. I told him to take just 30 seconds of the podcast, not the whole thing, just a tiny piece. His instructions were to listen to the first sentence and pause. Then, write down exactly what he thought he heard. Then, listen to the same sentence again and correct his writing. He had to do this 5 or 6 times for the same sentence. Finally, he had to check his writing against the actual transcript. The first time he did it, he was shocked. The sentence was, "I'm gonna have to get back to you on that." What he wrote down was, "I go now to get back you that." He missed the contractions. He misheard words. But he wasn't discouraged. He was excited. For the first time, he could see exactly where his listening problems were. He could see the gap between what was said and what he heard. Transcription forces you to pay attention to the details we've been talking about. You have to listen for the linking, the reductions, the elisions. When you write "get back to," but you hear "get back to," you start to understand the sound changes on a much deeper level. So here is a small practice for you right now. I am going to say one sentence. I want you to pause this audio and write down what you think I said. Don't worry about being perfect. Just write what you hear. Ready? Here is the sentence. I think I'll ask him for it later. Okay, pause now and write it down. Welcome back. Did you write it down? Now, let's analyze that sentence together. I think I'll ask him for it later. Let's see what happens in natural speech. I think I'll links together. The K in think links to the I. I think I'll, then ask him. Rar, the H in him is often silent in unstressed situations, so we don't say ask him, we say ask him. The K links to the I, ask him. Then, for it. The for reduces to fur. Fur. And the R sound links to the I in it. Ferret. So the whole phrase sounds like, I think I'll ask him ferret later. How close was your transcription? It doesn't matter if it was wrong. What matters is that you are now analyzing the sounds. You are being an active listener. I recommend you do this for just 5 minutes every day. Find a short audio clip with a transcript. YouTube videos with good captions are perfect. Transcribe a few sentences and then check your work. This single habit will do more for your listening skills than hours of passive hearing. Our next strategy is a bit more active, and some people feel a little silly doing it at first, but I promise you it is incredibly effective. It's called shadowing. What is shadowing? It's exactly what it sounds like. You follow the speaker like a shadow. You listen to a piece of audio and you speak at the exact same time, trying to copy the speaker's pronunciation, rhythm, and intonation as perfectly as possible. You are creating a shadow of their voice with your own. I first learned about this technique when I was trying to improve my Spanish. I was living in a new city and felt that my speaking was very slow and my accent was very strong. A friend told me to try shadowing. My first thought was, this is strange. How can I speak and listen at the same time? But I decided to try. I found a short podcast, about 1 minute long. The first step was just to listen and read the transcript at the same time to become familiar with the content. I did this 2 or 3 times. The second step was to do the shadowing. I put on my headphones, started the audio, and began speaking along with the host. The first time was a disaster. I was stumbling over words, I couldn't keep up, and I felt very foolish. But I kept trying. On the 3rd or 4th try, something started to click. I stopped thinking about the meaning of the words and just focused on the sounds. I tried to match the music of the host's voice, the ups and the downs, the fast parts and the slow parts. After about 15 minutes of shadowing the same 1-minute clip, I stopped. Then, I tried to say a few of the sentences from the clip by myself. I was amazed. The sentences flowed out of my mouth more easily. The rhythm felt more natural. Shadowing had created a connection between my ears and my mouth. It wasn't just a listening exercise, it was a speaking exercise at the same time. It was training my mouth muscles to produce the sounds of the language in the same way a native speaker does. The reason shadowing is so powerful for listening is that it forces you to pay attention to every detail of pronunciation. You can't shadow effectively if you're not noticing the linking, the schwa sounds, the elisions. To copy the speaker, you have to say wanna, not want to. You have to say didja, not did you. It trains your brain to accept these connected speech patterns as normal because you are producing them yourself. So, let's try a very short shadowing exercise right now. I will say a sentence 3 times. The first time, just listen. The second time, I want you to say it with me. The third time, we will say it together again. Let's use a simple sentence. The sentence is, I think it's a good idea. Okay, first time, just listen. Notice the connected speech. I think it's a good idea, so. Think and it's linked together. Good and idea can link together. Ready for the second time? Let's say it together. I'll go at a moderate speed. 3, 2, 1. I think it's a good idea. What? How did that feel? Let's try it one more time. Really try to match my rhythm. 3, 2, 1. I think it's a good idea. Excellent. You can do this with any audio material that has a transcript. Start with very short clips, maybe 15 to 30 seconds. Do the same clip every day for a week. You will be amazed at how much more natural it feels by the end of the week. Don't worry if you can't understand every word while you're doing it. The goal of shadowing is not comprehension at that moment. The goal is to copy the music of the language. The comprehension benefits will come later when you are listening to other people speak and you recognize the patterns you have practiced. This technique is truly transformative. Don't be afraid to feel a little silly. Find a private space and just try it. Your ears and your mouth will thank you. Now that we have 2 powerful techniques, active listening through transcription and shadowing, we need to talk about what to listen to. Choosing the right materials is crucial. If the material is too difficult, you will become frustrated and lose motivation. If it's too easy, you won't be challenged and you won't improve. I remember a student named Carlos who was a huge fan of action movies. He decided he was going to improve his English by watching all his favorite action films. After a week, he came to our class looking completely defeated. He said, "Sophia, I can't understand anything." The actors speak so fast. There are explosions. There is loud music. It's impossible. Carlos made a classic mistake. He chose material that was far too difficult for his level. The dialogue in action movies is often very fast, full of slang, and spoken in stressful situations. It's not good for learning. So we talked about finding material at the I+1 level. This is a concept from the linguist Stephen Krashen. The I represents your current level of understanding. The +1 represents material that is just a little bit above your current level. It should be challenging enough that you are learning new things, but not so difficult that you feel lost. You should be able to understand most of it, maybe 70 to 80%, without a dictionary or subtitles. So, What are some good sources of I+1 material for a B1 learner who wants to understand fast speech? First, podcasts designed for English learners, just like this one, are a great starting point. The speakers usually talk a bit more clearly and slowly than in a normal conversation, and they often explain difficult vocabulary. They are a bridge to help you get to the next level. Second, TV shows for children or teenagers can be fantastic. This might sound strange for an adult learner, but think about it. The language is usually very clear, the vocabulary is not too complex, and the actors speak in a way that is easy to understand. Plus, you have the visual context of the show to help you understand what's happening. Sitcoms or situation comedies can also be very good. Shows like Friends are popular with learners because the conversations are about everyday topics like work, relationships, and coffee. And the humor often comes from the situation itself, which helps with comprehension. As you get more comfortable, you can move on to authentic materials, things made for native speakers. But you have to be smart about how you use them. Let's talk about using platforms like YouTube or Netflix. They have a secret weapon for language learners: subtitles and playback speed controls. Here is a method I recommend. First, find a short video or a scene from a TV show that interests you. Watch it the first time with English subtitles. This helps you connect the written words to the sounds you're hearing. If you hear gonna, but you read going to, your brain makes that connection. Don't use subtitles in your native language, as this just turns it into a reading exercise. Always use English subtitles. After you've watched it once with subtitles, watch it again immediately, but this time turn the subtitles off. You will be amazed at how much more you understand the second time. Your brain already knows the context and the vocabulary, so it can focus purely on the sounds. Now, what about the playback speed? Many learners love to slow down the audio to 0.75x speed. This can be a useful tool, but you must use it carefully. It can be helpful at the beginning to catch a specific phrase you are struggling with. However, you should not listen to everything at a slow speed. If you only train your ears to understand slow English, you will be shocked when you hear it at a normal speed again. The rhythm and connected speech patterns change when you slow things down. So, use the slow down feature as a temporary tool to analyze a difficult part, but always make sure you listen to it at normal speed again afterwards. Your goal is to understand English at its natural pace, so you must practice at its natural pace. The most important thing is to choose content that you genuinely enjoy. If you love cooking, watch cooking shows. If you are interested in science, find a science podcast. If you are motivated by the topic, you will be much more likely to continue practicing. Don't force yourself to watch business news if you find it boring. Learning should be a pleasure, not a punishment. Your mission now is to find 1 or 2 sources of English content that you love and that are at the right level for you. Experiment, explore, and find something that makes you excited to listen every day. We've discussed training your ears and choosing the right materials. Now, let's talk about a mental shift in how you process what you hear. Many learners try to listen for individual words. They try to catch every single the, is, at. This is like trying to build a house by looking at one brick at a time without ever looking at the larger wall. You get lost in the details and miss the overall structure. Native speakers don't think or speak in individual words. We think and speak in chunks or groups of words that naturally go together. These chunks are called collocations or phrases. For example, we don't think on the other hand. We think of on the other hand as one single unit of meaning. We don't think by the way. We think of by the way as one chunk. When we speak, these chunks come out as one smooth block of sound. By the way. Learning to recognize these chunks by their sound rather than as individual words will dramatically increase your listening comprehension speed. Let me tell you a story about a student, Elena. She was in a business meeting with native speakers. After the main discussion, one of her colleagues said, "Okay, that's great. As far as I'm concerned, we can move forward." Elena got stuck on the first part. As far as I'm concerned, she was trying to translate each word. As far as I am concerned. By the time she had figured that out, the conversation had moved on and she was lost. The problem was that she was treating it as 5 separate words. As far as I'm concerned is a chunk. It just means, in my opinion. A native listener hears that phrase not as words, but as a single piece of music that means, in my opinion. They don't process it word by word. They process it chunk by chunk. So how can you learn to listen in chunks? You have to start noticing them. When you are reading or listening, pay attention to groups of words that appear together often. Phrases like, at the end of the day. To make a long story short, you know what I mean, for the time being. These are everywhere in spoken English. When you learn a new vocabulary word, don't just learn the word itself. Learn the words that go with it. Don't just learn the word attention. Twans learn the chunk to pay attention to. Don't just learn the word difference. Learn the chunk, it makes a big difference. When you learn these phrases as a whole, you will start to hear them as a whole. Let's do a little practice. I will say a common chunk of English. I want you to repeat it and try to feel it as one single unit. On the other hand, becomes. On the other hand, your turn. At the same time, becomes. At the same time. Your turn. For example, becomes. For example, your turn. I'm looking forward to it. Becomes. I'm looking forward to it. Your turn. When you start listening for these chunks, you free up so much mental energy. Instead of trying to catch and understand 10 small words in a sentence, you might only need to catch 3 or 4 chunks. This makes it much easier to keep up with the speaker and to understand their main point. Your next mission is to become a chunk collector. Get a special notebook or a file on your computer. Every time you read or hear a new phrase or collocation that seems useful, write it down. Say it out loud. Practice it. Then, when you are listening to English, keep your ears open for the chunks in your collection. When you hear one, you can give yourself a little mental check mark. This active process of collecting and spotting chunks will retrain your brain to stop focusing on tiny bricks and start seeing the beautiful walls they build. This shift from words to chunks is one of the biggest leaps you can make in your listening ability. Our final strategy is about developing the right mindset when you are in a real conversation. It's about learning to relax and trust your own abilities. The strategy is this: learn to predict and guess. You do not need to understand 100% of the words to understand 100% of the message. Listening is not a math test where you need to get every answer right. It's more like being a detective. You find a few clues, and you use those clues to guess the whole story. Let me give you an example. Imagine you are in a restaurant. You can't hear the waiter perfectly because the room is noisy, but you hear a few key words. Wow, drink. Zrenia, gotowy k zakazu. Zrenia. You don't need to hear every single function word. The context gives you all the information you need. You are in a restaurant, the person is a waiter. You can predict they are going to ask you about drinks and ordering food. You use the context and the key words you did understand to guess the rest. This is a skill that native speakers use all the time. We often mishear things or get distracted, but we use the context to fill in the gaps without even thinking about it. Many learners panic when they miss a word. I had a student who told me that as soon as she missed one word, her brain would stop. It would get stuck on that missed word, trying to figure it out. And while her brain was stuck, the speaker would say 3 or 4 more sentences, and then she would be completely lost. This panic is your enemy. The most important thing you can do in a conversation is to stay calm and keep listening. If you miss a word, let it go. It's gone. Don't chase it. Focus on the next thing the person says. The next sentence might make the previous one clear. The goal is not to understand every word. The goal is to understand the main idea. Part of this is also learning to be comfortable with ambiguity, with not knowing everything. It's okay. You can still have a successful conversation even if you only understand 70% of what is being said. Think about what you already know. Who is speaking? What is their relationship to you? Where are you? What is the general topic of conversation? All of these things are clues that help you predict what the speaker is likely to say. If your boss is walking towards you with a serious look on her face and holding a report, she is probably going to talk about work, not about her vacation plans. Use this information to your advantage. Let's practice this mindset. Imagine you are listening to a news report. You hear the following words. Terrible fire, last night, apartment building, 15 families, no home. Did you understand every single word I said? Probably not. I said them quickly. But did you understand the main idea? Of course. You understood that there was a big fire in an apartment building, and now many people are homeless. You didn't need to hear the articles or prepositions. You heard the key content words, and your brain filled in the rest. This is intelligent guessing. So, your final mission is to practice letting go. The next time you are in a conversation or listening to an audio clip and you miss a word, I want you to take a deep breath and consciously tell yourself, it's okay, let it go. What's next? Focus on the big picture. Listen for the main idea. Trust that you are good enough to figure it out from the context. The more you relax and trust your detective skills, the less you will panic, and the more you will find yourself understanding. This confidence is the final ingredient you need to become a brilliant listener. We have covered so much ground today. We've talked about the theory of connected speech, the linking, the reductions, the contractions, the elisions, and the assimilations. And we've learned powerful practical strategies to improve your skills. Active listening, shadowing, choosing the right materials, focusing on chunks, and learning to predict and guess. Now, it's time to put it all together. Let's walk through a real-life scenario, a detailed story, and see how all these pieces work together in the real world. Let's imagine our English learner, Alex. Alex has been studying English for a while and is at a solid B1 level. Alex is on vacation in New York City for the first time. It's morning, and Alex is excited but also a little nervous. The first mission of the day is to get a real New York coffee. Alex walks into a busy, noisy coffee shop. The smell of coffee beans is wonderful, but the sound of people talking, traffic outside, and the espresso machine hissing is a bit overwhelming. Alex takes a deep breath and gets in line. Finally, it's Alex's turn. The barista behind the counter is a young woman who is moving very quickly. She smiles and says in one fast burst of sound, "Hi, what can I get for ya?" Alex freezes for a second. Let's pause the story and be the detectives. What did she say? She said, "Hi, what can I get for you?" But it didn't sound like that. Let's break it down using our new skills. What can I became what can I? The words are linked. But wait, the can is a function word and it's unstressed. So the A sound reduces to a schwa. It becomes KN. So we have what can I? Then get for you. The word for is also a function word. It reduces to efer. Get for you. And you at the end of a question like this often reduces to ya. So we have get for ya. Now let's put it all together. What can I get for ya? And spoken very quickly, the sounds blend even more. What can I get for ya? This is a very common standard way to ask this question. Okay, back to Alex in the coffee shop. Alex's brain is working fast. Alex didn't catch every sound, but heard the keywords what and get and saw the context. Alex is at a counter. The person is a barista. Alex correctly guesses she is asking for the order. Alex has practiced, so instead of saying, "I want a coffee," Alex says, "Could I have a large coffee, please?" The barista nods and types it into her computer. Then she asks the next question, another fast burst of sound. "Anything else for ya?" Let's pause again. "Anything else for you?" First, linking. Anything else? The G at the end of anything almost disappears, and the words just flow together. Then, for you becomes feria, just like before. So we get anything else, feria? Alex understands anything else and says, "No, that's all, thanks." The barista replies, "Okay, that'll be $4.50. Pause. "Okay, that will be $4.50. Here we have a standard contraction. That will becomes that'll. The L sound then links to the B sound of be. That'll be, then $4.50, meaning $4.50. That'll be $4.50. Odd. It's one smooth sound. Alex understands the price and gets out some money. As the barista is getting the change, she asks, "Need room for cream?" Well, this is a tricky one. Let's pause. The full sentence is, "Do you need room for cream?" But in a busy, repetitive job like this, people use shortcuts. The "do you" is completely dropped. It's understood from the context. So she just asks the main part of the question. Need room for cream? Let's look at the sounds. Need room links together, and for cream can sound like fur cream. So, need room for cream? Alex is a little confused by this one, but again uses context. Alex sees the milk and sugar on a separate counter. Alex guesses the barista is asking if Alex wants to add milk. Alex just replies, "No thanks. Black is fine." The barista hands over the coffee and the change. "Here ya go. Have a good one." Last one. Let's break it down. "Here you go" becomes "here ye go." The words link smoothly. This is a very common phrase when giving something to someone. And "have a good one." This is a friendly, casual way to say, "Have a good day." The sounds? Have a links to become hava. Good one links to become good one. So, have a good one. Alex takes the coffee and smiles, feeling a huge sense of accomplishment. Thanks, you too. Alex walks away from the counter and finds a small table. The coffee is hot and delicious, but the best feeling is not the coffee. It's the feeling of success. Alex was in a real, fast, noisy situation with a native speaker and was able to communicate successfully. Alex didn't understand every single sound, every single word. But Alex used context, listened for the key words, understood the patterns of connected speech, and kept calm. And it worked. This little story about Alex in the coffee shop contains all the lessons we have learned today. It shows how the rhythm, the linking, the reductions, and the guessing all come together in a normal, everyday conversation. You can be Alex. In fact, you are already on the same journey. Every time you listen actively, every time you practice shadowing, every time you notice a chunk or a reduced sound, you are preparing yourself for your own coffee shop moment. So, we have traveled a long way on our journey today. We started with the frustration of hearing English as a fast, blurry wall of sound. And now we have the tools to deconstruct that wall, brick by brick. We've learned that the secret isn't about the speaker's speed, but about the music of the language, the rhythm of stressed and unstressed words. We've uncovered the secrets of connected speech, how words link together, how vowels reduce to the lazy schwa sound, how phrases contract into words like gonna and wanna, how sounds can disappear through elision, and how sounds can change to become like their neighbors through assimilation. We also learned that knowing the theory is not enough. You need to practice. And now you have a powerful set of strategies to do that. You can become an active listener by transcribing short audio clips, comparing what you hear to what was actually said. You can retrain your ears and your mouth at the same time through the amazing technique of shadowing, copying the music of a native speaker. You know the importance of choosing the right materials, content that is interesting to you, and just a little bit challenging. You understand the power of listening for chunks instead of individual words, and the importance of relaxing and using context to predict and guess, just like a detective solving a case. Remember the story of Alex in the coffee shop. Alex wasn't perfect. Alex didn't understand every single sound. But Alex was successful. Success in listening is not about 100% comprehension of every word. It's about communication. It's about understanding the main idea and being able to function confidently in an English-speaking environment. This is a skill, and like any skill, it requires patient and consistent practice. You cannot fix your listening problems in one day. But you can start today. You can choose one thing we talked about and focus on it this week. Maybe this week you will be a schwa hunter. Maybe next week you will try shadowing for 5 minutes every day. Each small step you take will build on the last. Be patient with yourself. Celebrate the small victories, like understanding a difficult line in a movie or a fast question in a podcast. You have the ability to do this. Your ears can learn to hear the music of English, to understand its connected flow, and to decode fast speech with ease and confidence. The journey might seem long, but you have a map now. You have the tools, and you have the strategies. All that's left is to begin. This has been Sophia from Best English Podcast. I hope this journey has been as helpful for you as it has been for me to share it. Understanding fast English is a gateway to a whole new world of movies, music, friendships, and opportunities. Keep practicing, stay curious, and be kind to yourself along the way. If you found this journey helpful and want to continue improving your English with me, make sure you subscribe to our channel and don't forget to hit that bell notification so you never miss our next lesson. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to seeing you in our next session.